And a very good morning to you. You're very welcome along to OTB AM. Hello to our podcast listeners, and hello to the rest of you who've been with us since 7:30 this morning. We broadcast live every morning from 7:30 all the way through until 10 o'clock on all of our social channels, and then you can get the best bits on our podcast, which goes live at around about 10:30 every morning as well. Now, Nathan Murphy is with us. Nathan, how are you? Good morning to you.
Thank you for the full and proper introduction, Chair.
Our esteemed colleague, number one commentator, and Grand Poobah of Mayo, I believe, is your full title.
Thank you. That's what I like to go with. You left out, of course, Sports Broadcaster of the Year, Chair. Sorry, where's my trophy?
Is this one here?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's in your house, I presume. I'm surprised that it isn't sitting on your desk there. You know, that trophy is far away.
Maybe later.
Except it's not far away. It's never far away, is it? Right, Man United are back, and somebody at Manchester United knows how to buy players, because all they needed was someone to join this whole thing together. That was all they were missing.
Listen, I think people expected Bruno Fernandes to be a good signing, but maybe not quite this good. It's been an incredible introduction, how he has transformed the way this team play and how he's become this massive leader already. He fits everything that Manchester United needed. So even though he's still young, even though he's only 25, he came from Sporting Lisbon, where he was pretty much a one-man team for the last couple of years with everything that happened there. So he had that aura about him that he was willing to go into a dressing room and say, actually, here's how things are going to be. And he seems to be a brilliant character. I don't know if you saw his post-match interview last night, where obviously everybody's now Fernandes and Pogba, the two world-class players. These are the ones that are going to elevate us to another level. And he didn't want to talk about Pogba at all. Pretty much name-checked all the young players in the United team who had played well. And it's looking very, very promising for them. Defensively, not conceding half as many goals. And I don't even know if that's that they've improved defensively. It's that they don't have as much defending to do, because they're controlling games a whole lot more. They're not on the back foot. They always look like now they're going to take a game to a team, and they can do it both ways. They can control possession in the midfield with Pogba and Fernandes. And as we saw last night with the third goal, like the counter-attacking ability that they have is second to none. So there's some green shoots there. They are still a long way back in terms of, they're 34 points behind Liverpool. To bridge that in the space of a season, I think it's a bit much. But
they don't have to bridge it, though, totally. They just need to be competitive until March or April. And then it looks like they're layering stuff on. And so for them to go from this to title challengers next season would be remarkable. And it would be an incredible achievement. It would be Klopp levels of genius from Ole Solskjaer. But all they need to do is show significant signs of progress, because there have been no signs of progress essentially since Ferguson left.
None. This is the best football they've played since 2013. And you're right, it's hard to see them winning a title next season. But they need to stay on this sort of trajectory now. And they've got this signing right. What happens during the summer? So they're constantly linked with Koulibaly, with Jack Grealish. They need to be the right signing as well. So the one thing Klopp has done consistently, he's always got it right over the last couple of years. So every time they went and spent 60, 70 million, the player came in and made an impact, and Solskjaer needs to keep doing that. But they've started in the right way. I saw a lot of Bruno Fernandes in the last couple of years at Sporting Lisbon, and you wondered how he would settle in at United, simply for the fact that he did everything. You watch all the best teams in Europe, he was the most one-man influential player on a team. I don't know if you remember what happened at Sporting, where a couple of years ago, the supporters basically turned on the players and attacked the players at the training ground. There were all sorts of issues with the owners, and the vast majority of the best players left the club after that. So Rui Patricio left, William Carvalho, 6 or 7 of their leading players left in outrage at what had gone on behind the scenes and with the supporters. But Bruno Fernandes stayed. And you would watch him, and he'd pick the ball up, he'd go between the two centre halves, and the goalkeeper would roll it out to him, and he literally 1-2 his way up the pitch almost. That he was that influential. He did everything. He was all over the place. And I wondered when he came to United whether or not that's what they wanted. But it seems actually they've just given him a role, an attacking role. His goal-scoring record has always been off the scale for a midfielder. He scored 33 goals in all competitions in his last season at Sporting.
Not bad.
And he scored that while doing everything else, while always being a defensive midfielder at times. But now it's just, actually, just use your attacking stuff and we get someone else to give you the ball.
Well, so you had this conversation with John Giles last Thursday night, and Giles was like, he's not a midfielder, Nathan, he's a forward. And it's in the hierarchy of how Giles has always classified people, there are traditional midfielders, and that's Scholes and Keane and Vieira and Petit and him and everybody else, all those players that he played with, right up to even Lampard and Gerrard, who might have played further forward but were certainly box to box. Is it possible that actually he does end up being one of a front three and that Man United actually look to add somebody alongside Matic and McTominay and Pogba if Pogba stays?
Oh, I don't think they need to right now. When you look at Mason Greenwood coming through, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, they'll probably go and try and sign another striker. So you're saying playing him on the right or the left and maybe move Rashford into the centre?
Or like, you suddenly have the option of not being... so did they play 4-2-3-1 last night where he was actually a forward? And kind of number 10? So.
Yeah, well, he's playing in a midfield alongside Pogba with one behind. Like, it's an incredibly attacking system they're going with at the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't see Matic surviving too much longer in the first 11. If they have that front three of Greenwood, Rashford and Martial and they add somebody there, well then if you have Pogba and Fernandes, like maybe it's a bit gung-ho for matches against the better teams. But it'll be exciting. And actually Solskjaer is in a great position that, United supporters aren't expecting to win the league next season. So if you go out and you play brilliant, exciting, the Manchester United way, you're going to get a lot of leeway. Part of me is already wondering is Ole Solskjaer going to be the Brendan Rodgers of Manchester United? That actually he gets a buzz back within the club and he gets excitement back and people start to realise what the possibilities are. But maybe he's not the final guy who brings them back to the level. Well, but again, listen, it's incredibly early days. And another thing that struck me watching them the last couple of matches, and I know last night was down in Brighton, maybe play behind closed doors will suit this Manchester United team.
All the way through to
not
November.
Being at Old Trafford and the support. I know people say it's dead. It's dead, and they're getting on your back when you're not winning after 20 minutes, no matter who you're playing against. And a misplaced pass here and there, they're all over you. So for younger players, maybe it'll suit them actually to just be away from that.
All right. Is Solskjaer the Brendan Rodgers of Manchester United? You can get in touch with us this morning. 0879 180 180. Your hot takes on one player being ex-player, other player, have tended to, ignite the internet. This one is not that controversial. I do think, though, that it's actually not early for Solskjaer. He has now guaranteed himself at least 18 months. When you think back to the start of the season, it was week by week by week we were going, is this the week where they're just going to nip him in the bud and go, okay, we completely screwed that up, we apologise, we got that wrong. But the signing of Fernandes has saved him and given him, I would suspect, at least 24 months to build this thing now. And
probably a whole lot of money to come during this transfer window as well if they feel they can trust him. There's still two massive question marks though over Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial. Can he keep them at this level consistently? Or
maybe he sells them, cashes in and gets players who are actually his players and who are 100% committed to him. So look, we'll come back to this a little bit later on because we've got plenty of time for it as well. And we would like to hear from you. Use the hashtag OTB AM on our Twitter account. It's 10 minutes past 8. Here's what's coming up on the show for you. Going to get into the sports news from Shane Hannon right now and then the sports pages after that. Rory Gallagher, the Derry boss, is going to join us at around about 8:35 this morning. Obviously, very interesting situation in Derry. It's kind of held up as this paradigm of exactly a strong county board dictating to their inter-county manager. What's that like to be the inter-county manager on the other side of that? I suspect Rory Gallagher is pretty happy about the quality of football that his players are going to be exposed to in the Derry Championship. Dr. Kevin Moran has been part of the committee in the GAA who's been advising exactly what should happen, and obviously we've had the first instance of a club player test positive. So what are the procedures if somebody in your club tests positive, and will this mean the abandonment of games? All sorts of questions are coming up now in the aftermath of that positive test, and Graham Hunter's going to talk to us about the 2-2 draw that Barcelona had last night. 800 million they've spent on players and not very much to show for it over the last half decade or so. And Vinnie Perth is going to join us at around about 20 to 10 this morning. I think Vinnie Perth just qualified for his was he one of that class?
License.
Yeah, it was the same class as Keith Andrews. A star-studded class of graduates from the UEFA Pro License class that the FAI had have just announced this week. Look, we'll talk to him a bit about that, but obviously it's the return to play of the League of Ireland. So it is Shane Hannon is with us. Shane, how are you?
Not too bad, lads. Keeping well in yourselves.
The League of Ireland is returning. Are you excited?
Yeah, excited, although it just reminds me of my beloved Monaghan United and how we haven't existed for quite some time as a League of Ireland team. But look, it is exciting. A lot of Monaghan fans, I think, have transferred over to Dundalk because it's the next nearest team. So, not that we're glory hunters, but, it's
it worked
pretty
out
close
well.
by.
You could have picked Sligo. Is Sligo Not as
That's a
close.
bit further afield. Dundalk's only about probably 45 minutes up the road.
Right.
So
Okay. Well then, happy days. You're within the hinterland, and the fact
Yeah.
that they're the best team in the country also helps.
yeah, it's just a fluke
So
that it happens
you're
to
a
be the
Man
best team in
United
the
fan,
country.
Shane? Is that what you said? Okay,
Which
you're
Monaghan
right.
United? I used to be a ball boy for Monaghan United in the League of Ireland back in the day. We used to get a packet of crisps and a can of Coke at half time. Made my week.
I was just
but yeah,
establishing your glory hunting. That was all I was doing there. Sorry, don't worry about it. It's okay. What have you got for us?
Yeah, we'll start off with the League of Ireland. Why not?